Alright guys, Stevie Street Bike here, and we are going to take the VStar 250. We're going to talk about small CC bikes. This is one of the smallest ones you can get. And a lot of people complain about their 300s being slow and their 400s or even 500s. Oh, it's slow. Well, I got one of the slowest bikes out there. This is my secondary bike. If you see my other video, I have a Versus 650 as my main bike, but I have this bike sitting in the garage as well. We're going to rip it around the canyon and show you that small CC bikes can still be a lot of fun. It's just so flickable, man. Alright, so I saw a video the other day and it was talking about the worst motorcycles that are still being made, and this VStar 250 was on that list, basically saying Yamaha needs to quit making this bike. And it is a little, it's dated, right? I mean, and when it comes to the category of cruisers or sport bikes, this is a very dated bike. When you could get the Honda Rebel 300 or the 500, that's probably a much better beginner bike than this bike. But if anybody still has a VStar 250, they are still an absolute blast to drive. And I mean, it's so flickable compared to my 650. My 650, my Versus 650 is pretty flickable, right? But this here, oh my gosh, it's so flickable. I think it's got a tire out of balance though, because it's a little bouncy, but that's not the bike's fault. It's like riding some kind of toy or something. It's absolutely hilarious because my Versus 650 is so tall and this bike is so low to the ground, and I don't know, it's just so much fun. But one of the biggest pet peeves I have with the motorcycle community is completely dissing on small CC bikes. You either have those guys that are on, you know, these super bikes, these big 1000 bikes, and they're making fun of people on small bikes, or you have people that start out on small bikes like you should. You'll message somebody and be like, oh man, I like your 300, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, I got it, and I just got it to learn on, and now I'm trying to get something bigger. They're always like trying to make up an excuse of why they have a small CC bike. And don't get me wrong, bigger CC bikes are fun. The faster they go, the more fun they are, I think. But a lot of people don't realize when you go up to a bigger bike, not only is it faster, but it's usually taller, it's usually heavier. And a lot of definitely like female riders and stuff like that don't really think about that, and it's a big change, not just with the speed. It's all your techniques. It's almost like you have to relearn how to ride a motorcycle again when you go from something small like this to a big bike. But man, I think small CC bikes get so much hate, man. They really do, and I don't get it because they are so much fun. Like right now, I'm ripping around this canyon, all these curvy roads. Honestly, this bike is more fun than my Versus 650. Now, I love my Versus 650 and it's my main bike, and 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna ride that bike. But man, if you could have a small CC bike as a secondary bike, or maybe you got it as your first bike, you upgrade to a bigger bike, and then you I would say, if you can, keep your small CC bike, because I'm telling you, you'll go back to it and realize how fun they are. They are so fun to rip around on. It's not intimidating at all. If I wanted to take this thing off-road in some gravel, I'm not scared to fall over on this bike. It's so light, so low to the ground. we need to stop the hate on the small CC bikes, man. Like, I understand if you got a Hayabusa and you just want to absolutely rip, or any kind of 1000 Super Sport, and you love speed, hey, you go for it. But don't make fun of somebody on a small CC bike, man, because I think everybody should learn on a smaller bike. Even though, you know, I started on a 600, an FZ6R, and it worked out for me. I did okay. I never wrecked the bike, and I'm glad I got to grow into something. But man, I just don't think people appreciate, you know, these small CC bikes like they should. So these bikes are not very popular anymore. I mean, because you can get so much. Oh, this lady's taking a picture. Sorry. It's a pretty popular tourist attraction, this road. But yeah, nobody wants these Yamaha VStar 250s anymore. But man, you can find them so cheap on the used market. And if you've never rode a motorcycle before, and especially if you're a shorter rider, especially if you're, you know, not planning on going on the highway right away, this bike is so much fun, and it's so easy to handle. It really is. It's so easy to handle. I don't ever see myself getting rid of this bike. I love the fact that you know, I can go out and switch it up, and no matter what bike I have, to have a 250 laying around, and like if I have a buddy, you know, that's wanting to maybe try motorcycles for the first time, this is a motorcycle that you can put them on that's not intimidating, that's not going to really get them hurt from, you know, the speed. Because, like, I mean, I'm in like 4th gear, I think, and I can just full throttle it, and like it goes like nowhere. This is a great commuter bike if you live in the city, or, you know, if you're not going to need to go over really 65 miles per hour, like, this is the perfect bike for somebody just starting out. You can find these things super cheap on Marketplace, probably for 1,500 bucks for an older one, and they're a Yamaha. They'll go forever. This thing's been sitting in my garage. I probably haven't rode it in a month. I just had it on a battery charger, and I'm out here ripping around, and it's perfect. I mean, tire pressure was a little low. I checked that, and yeah, I mean, that's all I did to it, and this thing just, it goes. So if you're a first-time rider and you're, you know, wanting something like a Ninja 250 to start out on, I highly recommend it. I really do. I think the smaller CC bikes are great. Now, if you're a really big person, whether it's weight or height or both, you're probably going to need something bigger just because, you know, of your body type. But you can have a lot of fun on a 250 or a 300. Don't be ashamed to get those smaller bikes. They are a blast. Definitely in the twisties. Let's go see what's going on over here. This, I'm telling you, I can't explain how awesome this bike feels. Look at these curvy roads right here, and you're just flicking into the corners. It's unbelievable. Let's turn around right here, and just slow speed maneuvers and stuff like that is so easy on this bike. So there's another look at the bike. It's a classic looking bike. There's not much to it, but people turn these into, you know, little bobbers and all kinds of cool stuff. They are a great motorcycle. If you find one cheap and you just want it as a second bike, or like I said, you got maybe your spouse or a friend that wants to get into riding, like, this would be a great way to introduce them to riding. I'm a big fan of the VStar 250. I'm a big fan of small CC bikes. So, but thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe, comment. Let's talk about some small CC bikes. Y'all have a good one.